Hi, everybody, and welcome to OpenExO Live. A little bit late today, technical difficulties, but so great to be here. Today we have Paulina Lopez, who's with us from Mexico. So great to have Paulina, and you can see the amazing people who are going to be following her. And before we call Paulina up onto screen, I just want to share some words from our community that has been shared about Paulina. And the first comes from Elena, who just says, Paulina is an executive with impeccable work ethic, a can-do attitude, and a great presence. We have another one here from Fabian, and he just says, Paulina is a very experienced consultant and has expertise not only on the EXO model, but sharing exponential happiness. She is a terrific trainer and leads a growing exponential organization. We then have from Diego Soroa saying, I worked with Paulina during her coach certification training, and it was always a pleasure to interact with her because she spills positive energy and she will always be willing to go the extra mile. She is an A-team player. Next, we have from Anne Ralston, who said, Paulina is amazing. She brings such a bright, thoughtful, and curious spirit to OpenExO. These are personal competencies that a sprint coach needs to be able to keep the team motivated and on target, ask questions that really make them think about the possibilities, and be able to poke them with humor so that they don't take everything quite so seriously. And then last up, we have from Daniel, Paulina is an amazing coach with over 8 years of coaching experience, leading teams of fast-growing companies through rapid change. She commands a great balance between following a disciplined process and keeping the executives enjoying the process. She creates exponential happiness with every team that she works with. So really great, some of these. And Paulina, tell everybody who's watching a bit about your background and how you joined the OpenExO community.
Wow, what an amazing things. I'm so happy to hear them. Well, but I'm happy. I'm Paulina. I have been working with companies since almost 10 years now, and I'm so grateful about it because I started with scaling up, helping companies scaling up their companies, of course. And then in my journey, I found out that something about happiness were missing for me, something about the humanity, something about culture and the people. And finally, business are made by people, right? So I started studying positive psychology, and I get a master's degree on that. And that is my passion. So exponential happiness is my passion. So I'm so happy to hear that you're feeling that from me. But later, I find out another thing that passion myself, that is technology, and that is the disruption, innovation. And when I hear myself the first time to Salim Ismail, I was freaking out. I was like, what the hell? Really, I was like, what is that? And so when I trying to help companies to grow with substance, whatever, I figured out that if you don't work not just in growing up and the model of scale the company, but also to join happiness and to join the human side and the disruption side and the exponential side, I think you're missing huge. So that is my three pillars in growing companies and in life. I think is happiness, the first one, then innovation, disruption, creation, new things, and the last, the discipline to grow a company. So that is me.
Awesome, and so great to have someone speaking about happiness, and it is so really important. But before we get into that, you've worked with so many companies. And so what really are the main barriers that you found to those companies actually growing?
Okay, barriers. I love that. Well, the first one I think is, of course, a poorly designed strategy. And the second could be, or the first or the second could be competing, but a bad execution and the lack of innovation. And of course, related to happiness and not engaged collaborators. So you have a team that is not focused or a team that is not happy. And so no matter what, if you have a good design strategy or whatever, but you don't have the right person, the right people there, you're not going to make it. So the first barrier, I think, is mindset. And with the correct mindset and people, you can have better execution and better strategy, etc. So think of that. 4 things, I think, is the most important that I have found.
Okay, and obviously, I mean, bad strategy is definitely a killer. And the question is, well, you know, if people are saying for a 21st century business, well, what should they start with when they are deciding on what their strategy should be? How do they actually design that?
That is a really good question. I think MTP is the purpose. If you're not aligned with a purpose, then anything that you have in the strategy makes sense for anyone. You need resilience. You need to be focused in something that is bigger, in something that is impactful. And if you don't have that, if you don't have a MTP that is massive transformative purpose, if you don't have a why, then you get lost really fast. So a lot of companies has the strategy focusing money, focusing growth, focusing customers, and that is okay. But if you don't have the other component that is more powerful, that is more linked to the soul of the team, and then you don't have resilience, you don't have the commitment to keep the track, because you are going to go like in an adventure that you have to overpass the first level and the second level, and every single level has his challenges. And if you don't have a purpose, if you don't have something that connect your own mind and your own heart with that, you get lost. So you quit. So I think nowadays, more than everything, you need a framework that is related to your purpose.
Now I've come across some companies that have really great MTPs. They put together the strategy that looks really good on paper, but then they really struggle to execute it, make it real. You know, it's this lovely PowerPoint presentation, but how do you make it real? How do you actually take that, you know, from a piece of paper or from a presentation, you know, into
a PowerPoint? The PowerPoint and Excel's can get everything, but the reality is so different. Well, to make it real is exactly the topic I would like to share with you, because I found this magic mixing or melting scaling up, EXO, and positive psychology. Why? Because you have in one way the execution for scaling up that is amazing, because you have not just the best practices about agile thinking and whatever, but also you have a framework like manufacturing machine. So everything that you think, if you put it in this execution system that helps you to prioritize better and to measure better and to have better communication, it works. So everything that you put in that system will work. So when you have that framework, but if you don't have the EXO mindset and this disruption spaces to think out of the box and to think in trends and what is happening in the world, so you have a gap there, right? But also if the people that is involved in that doesn't have the energy or doesn't have the will to be there and to do whatever it takes, and to have, as I told you, the resilience, the positive thinking, etc. So everything goes bad. So it's just a paper, it's just a PowerPoint or whatever, a beautiful one, but never linked to the reality. So the way that you can link to the reality is people, mindset, and energy that you need, and the other way, a system that is working. So that is agility, and that is scaling up, because you have a CEO system there.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so, do you have any examples of where you can share using these two methodologies together, or three with positive psychology?
Well, yeah, now are three. Well, yes, and let me try to not without numbers, without names and numbers, etc.
Yeah.
I used to work in a company that were focusing software development, and for example, they start the company with a very strong MTP about to create a better place to live, for example, like a company, always focus in the inside of the company. So when I came up, they have like 10 years in the world, and then we start putting all these pieces together. And what happened was that the impact was amazing, because they focus in making others exponential. And when they focus in making the possibility, or like democratizing the exponentiality for the world, and this framework really helped them to become themselves exponential, and to find how to make it better developments in software, but even make them automatically, in order to, a lot of little companies have this ability, because normally they just dream in automation, but they cannot afford it. So they open that. And then the part that positive psychology bring into the table was actually on a sprint, in EXO sprint, that they start seeing each other as I don't know the word, but energizers for the company. Energizers, like teams that were focused in the energy that they can put in the company, and they move the culture. So it was the discipline of the scaling up that they were already using. Then they run a sprint and put the exponentiality about the mindset at the MTP, and also some of the attributes, and with the energy that we create in the sprints, etc. But then putting people, the department of HR changed the name just for people, and started making a lot of noise about the mindset, and to be use of strains. They found what are the strains, etc. So the mix of that make a huge impact in the results and in the growth of that company. And that was one of the EXO sprints that we run 2 years ago or something.
Okay, yeah. Now we like to speak to the people who are watching, and Abdullah said, he just made this comment, culture eats strategy for breakfast, right?
Absolutely.
And I know that that's what you think too. So, what's your thoughts around that culture, around engaging the employees, the people within your organization?
Well, about the culture, I think that you have to make it by design, because if don't, you are going to have a culture, but maybe not the right one, or the one that you want. So what I do in Neova, for example, is that I find what are the topics that you need to work for a designed culture. And what I found is that sometimes you are thinking in just the top of the pyramid of Maslow, and thinking of just the soft things and the happiness and the hedonic part of happiness, but maybe you need a mix. You need a mix that put together not just the things that are pleasure, but also the things that impact your satisfaction with something that is so typical, like internal service level. No, how can I erase all the friction between areas and between processes in order to you to feel better in your work and your autonomy, your mastery. So those are drivers that you have to impulse. And also, of course, the other soft part that are the meaning of the word, the flow. How can you provoke flow to the people, and how can you make tribes with your values and with your core values, and how to put them not in a base that you said responsibility. Okay, so what? what is that? Maybe it's something totally different for you and for me. So how can we create a code that is unique, that is represent ourselves? So for example, for our own, we deliver a core value that is, instead of go the extra mile, that is so important in business, go the extra smile. So we create a code, internal code, talking about how can we go the extra mile that is also a mile in results, but also a smile for people. How can I make it better? No, so what I think about culture is that you have to design it. You have to put your own code to make a tribe that is unique, to design a place where everyone wants to belong.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And the one thing that that we often talk about is the whole idea around immune system within organizations that are existing, right? Where perhaps the culture isn't that great, you know, and therefore, like, actually innovating becomes a bit of a barrier, you know, in that organization. What have you seen people overcoming that?
That is amazing, because the immune system is something that you already have, not just in a company, but in yourself. And that is the resistance of change, because you think, oh, I don't know what is happening here. So what happened is my brain is divided in 3 pieces, more than that, but simplifying. And the first one is the reptilian brain, and your reptilian brain has the ability to make you survive. So you are not going to forget never to breathe and these kind of things. But the other is that if you feel threatened, then your reptilian brain is going to make you survive. And so you are going to be aggressive. You are going to be fight or flight mood, or froze. And so if you are in that mood, you are just using that part of your brain. So you are missing the mammalian brain and the frontal cortex. That is the reason and why. So when you feel comfortable with something, when you feel safe, when you feel positive emotions, in that case, all the investigation with Barbara Fredrickson talks about that, the positive emotions. When you are with positive emotions, your reptilians go slower. So if your reptilian is slower, then you have better chances to use all your potential or your brain. So Harvard Business Review had some reviews that tell us that 300% more innovation is founded when you have positive emotions in work. So imagine 300% plus innovation in your company, and that is just because you can manage positive emotions. So when you mix EXO or EDGE initiatives or whatever with a positive environment, the possibility of an immune system is like neutralized because the people feel safe to prove new things. So that is another secret weapon.
Okay, yeah. We've got a question here from Kent, and he's saying, do you have any examples of how EXO is being applied in Mexico during COVID-19?
Oh, great. Well, what we do, it is so useful because you are actually in the fight or flight mood, and you are or freeze. And the first thing that we needed is to put out of that mood to the people. So we deliver a mini sprint in 5 days that we call reinventate, so make it yourself new. and we run with several companies, like 400 or so, and they start running the sprint, the normal EXO sprint, but in 5 days, focusing in some posts that Francisco Palau put it in the net. So we bring it together and put these days and put, okay, this is the first day, you have to explore and blah, 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 blah. And the results were fantastic because they start thinking out of the box. They start thinking not in just a survival mood, but a growing mood and a creative mood. So in Mexico, I work with a company that is called Don't Worry, that is focusing food and beverage industry, and they, for example, run a sprint and deliver some alliances with some other companies to, as I told, not just to survive but to grow in these spaces. On other companies start a parallel business with their own capabilities to not to maintain the staff, no? For example, because maybe some of the industries are not so benefit with with this, but they found some other ways. And the methodology they use were EXO sprints, but reduce it because they don't have the 10 weeks. They just figure out, like, in 1 week, what can I do with this framework? So they start checking what technology there are, what are making others. So the best results I get were the alliances in 2 or 3 companies that find a way to make business together, and wow. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That collaboration sounds really great. So, I mean, that's amazing. That's amazing. And I think, Paulina, we could probably talk here for hours and hours, but absolutely. we do try keep these down to below 25 minutes. So just to end off, if you can just, share what really is that secret recipe that people, need to be successful and exponential, and also let us know about your exponential happiness, your initiative and all of that as well.
Okay. I will try to be assertive. Okay, so I think you already said the secret weapon, that is exponential happiness. But I think for myself, the combination of discipline, the discipline that has the Rockefeller habits or the scaling up methodology that makes you a framework of stability, that you have to measure things, you have to be aligned, you have to be in the same page. So that mindset is so powerful. But if you combine that with an EXO mindset that makes you be aware of what is happening now with technology, what is happening now with the startups, what is happening with the world, and don't start just looking in that the things that make you successful in the past will work in the future, you need that. So that mixture is awesome. But if you don't put the happiness there, and the happiness, I mean, in not just the fun, but of course the fun, but the meaningful work and the things that get us to be connected and aligned and committed to something. So it doesn't work well in a long-term goal. So the three of those melted, not just mix and put it together, but melted, I think is a secret weapon.
Awesome. Well, Paulina, it's been fantastic chatting to you. Looking forward to seeing you in the community, and thank you very much for sharing here on OpenExO Live.
Thank you so much for this. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. So that was Paulina who spoke to us from Mexico. Remember, everybody, as we leave today, exponential happiness is really important. We'll see you again next week.
I have to say, we've been going through this for 4 weeks. It has been definitely the best investment in my professional development that I have ever made. And I'm not being paid by Yaroslav or by Kevin to say that. The thing is, what Kevin outlines to you is an incredible richness that you will only start to begin to appreciate once you engage with the content. And Yaroslav is a very modest fellow, but the work has been done over all of these sprint cycles for consultant training has really developed a fantastic product. I mean, my understanding of the method and the approach and its application to a client has been absolutely outstanding.